everybody, and welcome to another edition of Joe's Rod Shop podcast. Before we get started on today's show, I want to please remind you guys to go online, click subscribe, join our page, or click the likes, or leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you guys. Like to get some feedback. Also, tell us who you guys want to get onto the show. If there's anything you want me to talk about or anyone you want me to talk to, that would be absolutely great. Or if you just want to get on the show, I mean, we love interesting people like the person we've got today. So we are talking to Scott Pringle. Now I've known Scott for a long time. I think we've had a few beers together at events, but yeah, he's always just been a very interesting guy. And I know he loves cars, and he's got an interesting job. And you know, with all these podcasts, there's always method behind my madness. So, as much as I want to talk to him about cars and new projects that he's got, I normally want to tickle their brains and find out about. I know he's into e-commerce, and I know there's a lot of guys looking for more information, including myself. And we just wanted to have a discussion around cars and the industry and how business is changing. So yeah, without further ado, let's introduce you to Mr. Scott Pringle. All right, so we are live with Scott Pringle. How are you doing, boy?
I'm very well, thanks. And you?
Oh, good, man. Good. Are you sitting at home? Are you still working from home? What you guys been up to?
Yeah, I'm working from home since lockdown. Not hating it. Far less meeting. My little office with a comfortable boss me during the day. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I was laughing the other day. I was saying to someone, you just like me. We went from posting cool party vibes and, all that type of stuff, and now it's just kids. Everything on social media is to do with kids.
That's exactly how I've done a couple of those shifts. I've moved to the southern suburbs. I bought a Toyota, I've done a lot of practical things.
Are you swapping the the PUMA gear for Johnson's yet? The agriculture clothing and stuff. Are you still okay there?
Yeah, so it lasts long, You can wash it multiple times and it still works.
All right, so I'm happy to have you on the show. You've always been a very interesting character to me. I mean, we originally met. What was it? Inner City Muscle. That was an event that you did. All right.
Way back when.
I know that we're extremely old. I mean, that's almost 10 years ago now, isn't it?
I think it's about that, yeah.
Yeah. But at that stage, you had that amazing GTO, and you were head of marketing for PUMA. Am I right?
Not marketing. I was head of lifestyle. So basically, general manager for all the non-sport stuff. So okay. From the basic sort of casual stuff through the top end fashion.
Well, let's start on the car side. All right. So I mean, where did the GTO? I mean, God, I love that car. Dude, I cried when you sold it. Okay. And I think you still cry at night because you sold it.
I still cry myself to sleep. Yes.
Now, where did that come from, and then the love of cars and everything?
Look, I think the love of cars came from my father. When we grew up, he had a new car every second month. He was obsessed with cars. Never really American muscle, but he was sort of Porsche, BMs, and all of that. But an absolute obsession with cars. So yeah, I've always sort of loved anything petrol. In fact. But American muscle caught my eye quite early on in my life, and when I got the GTO, it took me a while to get there, as we all know. So yeah, I bought that GTO quite some time ago. Bought it from actually, Brad Hall. He got me involved in it, buying from him, and fell in love even more so than before.
And then after you sold the GTO, you got into some bikes and stuff, but you've had some other cars as well. Didn't you have a Merc or something as well?
Yeah, I had the GTO for quite some time. Sold that. Then had a Chev 75 Chev El Camino, which
Nice.
was a fun little car to have as well. And then we had a 77 350 SE
Oh,
Mercedes,
wow.
which was a fantastic car as well. I think actually Ruben Riffle from Rubens now has that car.
Is that? It's
Best
amazing
ones in
how
town.
these, you can actually sometimes track your car as it moves from one person to the next.
I had a fascination phone me and said, I've just seen Ruben driving your car in Franschhoek.
I
Yeah.
I had that years ago. My second car was a Mark 1 GTI, which I should have never sold. And this is Joburg days. I mean, this is still what, early 2000s. And ended up the car went to a DJ. And I saw the car at a club a few times. Snotty little kid that daddy bought him the GTI. Should have smacked him. And then the one day, one day I rocked up and he's there and the car's not there. I'm like, where's the GTI? Oh, no, I rolled it. Dude, I almost strangled him.
Oh,
I know.
that's gonna hurt your feelings, huh?
Oh, I still cry about that one as well. But now, so what's next? What have you been playing with now? Or is kids consumed that part of your life now?
So kids did consume it for a period of time. We've got the Fortuner, which is covering all the sensible bases.
Yeah.
So that I think was a good move to do.
All the reliability and all that type of stuff done. And now you've got a tow vehicle.
Exactly. It doesn't help if you don't have it with you when you rack down there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the bases are covered with the Fortuner. So I'm probably going to get something a little bit less sensible soon. Not sure at this stage. Maybe another Merc initially, but I'd love to get a 560 SEC Merc.
Oh wow!
That'd be a great option.
Check out Creative Rides. I'm actually busy with, because I'm busy wrapping up the next magazine. They took over the is it Louis? I need to confirm. Louis Kutz's car museum, which was in Bloemfontein, which was one of the biggest Mercedes-Benz collections in the world. Over 100 Mercs. And dude, it's insane. I was in Joburg and they had some of, because they're actually moving the cars. It was the whole collection, I think, was 240 cars or something like that. They're selling, because he passed away a few years ago. And they're helping the estate and stuff. They had those 500 SLs, the big ones, those two-door ones, the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, with like less than 5,000 Ks on the clock.
Wow.
Yeah, go check out. Dude, those things are killer. Look at that. You have to literally tow a petrol station behind you on those big V8s and stuff. But those are such.
Yeah, look, I'm looking for anything sensible. I'm looking for sensibility. I've got, like I started off, I've got those bases covered.
Exactly.
It's
so
something that. Sorry, it's something that can be fun to drive, so fun to have, but potentially put a baby seat in the back. and that's where we're at this stage.
So we learned. I mean, when Roxy was a year old, I was in Cape Town for one of the drifting events. I think it was at Drifting Outlaws, and I still had a Toyota Land Cruiser. And I've got video of, we literally parked next to the track. Okay, so you can see her sleeping in the Land Cruiser, and through the other window you see the fence, the tires, and then the drifting cars come past her sliding, and she's out. She's fast asleep. And then after that, I think we did Cars and Coffee, and I've got a photo of a video of her fast asleep in the back of a 65 Mustang. Also out, dude. Doesn't care what's going on. That kids get used to whatever you're doing, Well, that's how I believe it.
Yeah, unless you drop a wet wipe that one day and she'll wake up.
Exactly.
She'll sleep at a drifting event.
She will, but yeah, you sneeze staring. Oh no, actually you open a chip packet very slowly from the couch, and she's 4 bedrooms down, and then they come in.
That's it.
So now, but your career, I mean, working with PUMA, I mean, take us through your career and stuff as well. Because I mean, like I said, um, you, I just saw you from the car, or I just met you. And, I mean, we never actually had really even sat down and had a beer. It was just always like a passing type of thing. But I mean, you went from PUMA. Where have you gone now? Because now you're in a completely different sector. You're in IT or online stuff. Am I right?
Yeah, so I was at PUMA for close on a decade. So
Did you get a
which was
watch?
an amazing. No, I didn't. I think I left about 3 weeks before the watch. Oh, no, I think it was a very nice pencil there at that stage. But no, so I didn't get a watch. Yeah, so I was there for quite some time. It's an amazing company. It was just my time to move on. I think I needed a new challenge. I worked as brand manager, the global brand manager for the House of Machines for a little while after that, rolling out their new stores to global locations in conjunction with BMW Motorrad.
Yeah.
So they did a marketing collaboration there. That kind of ended when travel was a little too much for 2 kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I've ended up now fairly recently. We've started a digital agency. So it's a digital growth agency, and we focus primarily on e-commerce. So we're e-commerce specialists. So it's kind of taking my background in the clothing industry, sort of 25 odd years in the clothing industry, and applying that now to the new digital world, which has been a very exciting journey so far.
But a lot of guys have been saying lockdown has basically boosted online massively. They said it's taken it like in South Africa, it's taken it ahead like 5 years. It just forced everyone to go online. Do you still see if that's true?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there was a couple of barriers to entry for South Africans. Online was a big trust thing, and I think in other countries around the world, the trust of your payment gateways working was there. The trust that if the item was the wrong item, you'd get refunded and someone would come collect it. Those are things that people were worried about, I think. When lockdown happened, people were forced into buying online. And pleasantly surprised when their product arrived and it was the right thing and the payment was fine. And I think that's frog leaped the trust from all of those elements for the consumer in South Africa. In the same breath, at that same time, as a lot of people that are running bricks and mortar stores have shifted online because they had no means to sell. They had to close their stores for a while. So it's forced, on the retailer side, it's forced a lot of guys to go online and into the digital space on e-com as well. So from both sides, you're seeing a trust factor and you're seeing a major growth coming from retailers as well. So it's absolutely catapulted, I think.
But I mean, that's a major shift. I mean, in South Africa, I mean, from a classic car section, there's one major online store, which is Jay's Classic. I mean, all the other shops still haven't got to that stage. But you're wondering now where the changes are coming in, because you've still got your South African stores, but I mean, you've worked with a big brand. What's happening now with US companies and all these guys offering all their sales online? Are you guys foreseeing that more guys are going to start buying that way as well, where it's bypassing the local because it's available internationally? I mean, how are you guys seeing the move? I'm trying to gauge where the market's going at the moment.
It's difficult. It depends on the product. So if you look at, let's start off by looking at clothing, because it's
it's what you know. Yeah,
the element. It's not as consistent. So, and I mean, what I mean by that is, one brand might be offering a size large and it's that fit, and another brand might be slightly different in the large. So the consistency along those lines. I don't think anyone buys just in store or just online anymore. And you're seeing it a lot with your Gen Z guys.
Yeah.
They use both. Some people go look in store, touch and feel, and then go home and buy online. Some people look online and then go to the store that they've decided to buy from.
To verify it. Yeah.
You're not getting all of your purchases coming through online, and I don't think that'll ever change, because online are now open bricks and mortar stores to kind of cement their brand and allow people to come touch and feel. So, you know, Yuppie Chef was a great example in South Africa. And they had one of the strongest sort of homeware and kitchenware online shop, built up a massive following, and now they're opening icon stores. The store doesn't offer everything that the online shop offers, but you can order online in store as well. So I think it's nothing in isolation. When we look at the car world, I think it's slightly different because, you know, if you're ordering this part for that car, you don't necessarily need to touch and feel.
Yeah, that's true.
You're getting we're hopefully getting what you order.
That's if they order, if the serial number was correct in the.
Well, this is the other thing, you know. We deal with. You've ordered parts to South African guys, and where they offer massive value is that they help you guide on what that part needs to be, and they make sure it is the right part.
Exactly.
We still get it wrong sometimes. I've had many a part sitting in my garage that wasn't appropriate for the car that I ordered it for.
That's true. That's true. And the problem is the shops end up sitting with stock, and they try to move that stock, and which is great if it's a big normal moving item, because you know if it's a 3-1 manifold for a 350, I mean there's another guy's going to be there next week. But if it's specialized, so you need a specific piece of trim for, like when you had the GTO. There's only so many GTOs in the country, you know, and the chances of that part coming up is going to be much smaller than anything else.
So I think stock building is a massive thing, and I saw it driving a Pontiac versus a Ford. If you were driving a Ford, generally your basic parts were available
locally
straight away. If there was a switch that went onto the Pontiac, it had to be ordered from the States, and it was on back order, and it was very more complicated. So I think what's happened is we need big players to get involved in motor parts online in South Africa, where there's a bit of money injection so that they can hold a decent amount of product. Otherwise, it's really not. You're going to go online and everything's going to be on back order, and it makes it tricky. So I think there's definitely the effort there.
I actually think there's also the effort coming in where, if you take someone like Edelbrock needs to come to South Africa. They need to open, an Edelbrock here. So parts are available then, there's bigger stock coming in. It's a 3-day delivery instead of a 3-week delivery. That would enforce the guys locally. It will help actually the smaller shops locally, even though if they're still distributing through the same channels as it is. I mean, you don't want to break up the channel, but just having that representation in South Africa in a bigger way, because, it's a conversation I've been having with a bunch of guys. I mean, and we know it from like a sports clothing perspective. Product drives everything. So if it comes to sport, you've got sports clothing that's driving technology and using sports stars to figure out technology, but they're also putting money behind events and all this type of stuff to drive it. And guys don't understand that's a big part that's missing in South Africa when it comes to racing and stuff, is we don't have these big brands here, like literally, as in they don't have representation. So they're not backing our drag racing. They're not backing everything else that we're doing. So it all becomes part of a circle more than anything else. Yeah.
It's an interesting point you made. I've had these conversations with various brands when talking about South Africa. And I think in reality, what happens is a lot of these people have never been to South Africa. That age old, I'm coming to South Africa, please let me know where the ATMs are. Surprisingly, that is, I mean, that's a bit extreme, but a lot of the people don't see the value in South Africa because they don't really know South Africa. Whereas if you come to South Africa, there's a very strong drifting movements, and there's a bunch of little cultures, subcultures, and that have been developed in the motorsport field, which are very unique to South Africa quite often. And large. And I think a lot of these brands don't do enough research to realize that they potentially could make a lot of money in South Africa. But then you also got to understand that this brand's got multiple countries that they're moving it, and as they're rolling out to different countries, is South Africa the next best thing for them?
Is it on the list?
Yeah. So I mean, I understand why a lot of them are not here, but you can't expect your product to sell if you're not sponsoring these events, and you're not, you don't have brand ambassadors, and you don't have kind of a link to ground level, whatever that event. So it becomes tricky. South Africa's, we've got a lot more product here than we used to have. I mean, it was.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, it is opening up. But I mean, you posted that thing a few weeks ago. Like Nike has moved away from, is pushing everything into their retail. It's their concept stores and then online. But they've moved that worldwide, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
or is that just here?
Yeah. So no, it's a worldwide thing. Look, they're focusing on customer experience, and that's the big thing. So whether it be on digital customer experience, as in can you interact on the shop? What is there a service level? Does a shop interact with you when you look at products? Does it suggest other products that go with it? All of that interaction, which a salesperson would do essentially, but you can do it so much better on.
Yeah.
And in stores, that's the only you can control those service levels and focus on the customer as well. Your margins, I think, for these brands are a lot bigger from their own retail, and you can control how the product is positioned, how it's sold with consumers. So yes, I think there's a lot of guys that are going into that strategy because they have more control, I think.
Oh, but look, it's if we take that back to the car industry again, especially with the modern cars, aftermarket stuff, parts are getting more technical. It's not where Chris in the backyard can just hoy together everything anymore. Now, I mean, Holly EFI systems, all this type of stuff's coming in. Technology is great. Old technology is falling away, but it's not. It's because things are moving forward. They have to move forward. There's, fuel regulations and all this type of stuff, of fuel. So technology moves on. The products are getting more technical, which means the shops need to raise their game. It is going to get to a point where not anyone can install cars or parts and stuff anymore. You're going to have to be a registered person that with paperwork and stuff that goes into it. That's just it makes sense it moves that way.
Yeah, I think, it's very true. I think you look at the software at the moment, there's plug and play with a lot of these things. You get a new motorcycle, you plug it into a laptop to set it up so the fueling's correct, and unless somebody's trained to do those sort of things with whatever the product is, essentially they're not going to be able to install it properly. Doesn't do any justice to the brand that's selling it. But then again, this training, if you come into the country and you invest in actually selling there, then you've got to train as well.
Exactly.
And then those guys will be sort of pushing your brand in the way you want them to.
Yeah. Well, once again, that makes sense. I mean, you want. Okay. I had a chat with a few guys, and a few times I said, I wonder how many times parts on cars have been replaced because they weren't installed properly, or lack of the training wasn't in place, and it's a shit product. We'll just get another one in, or we'll go back to something else that we know. But no, if the training and stuff was in place in South Africa, there's things that the product would have worked. It's like when I had the guys from Aeromotive on, and they were talking about the fueling systems on the new LS motors and all this type of stuff. And I'm like, well, once again, I wonder how many times guys have replaced the fuel management systems on a car when it might have just been fueling, the fuel pumps. It's just like I said, it boggles my mind. But
I think,
keep going.
Sorry, carry on. Just saying, I think that's where the technology comes into play, because you can, with the computer testing, you plug it in and it tells you where your issues are. You go back to your old school muscle. It's one act of trial and testing there. Fix this, does that help? Fix this, does that help? We've all been there.
It just reminds me when I had my 49, old Simon Hartman, he did the motor and stuff on my 49 Chef, and I broke down the one day, and I phoned him, and like Simon always is in a bad mood whenever you meet him, whenever you saw him, and and like as the car broke down, and he goes, "What? Fuck it, Joe." He says, "Water, what? It's water, fuel, air, spark. That's it.
Yeah.
Check those four. Once you've checked those two, then fucking phone me." I'm like, okay, cool. And then that's what I learned, you know. Okay, is there water?
As well.
Yeah, that's it. You know, you don't find Simon until you've gone through those four. If those four, one of those four aren't working, you know, at least then you're phoning in with the guidance and you're saying, okay, well, there's no spark. Okay. But yeah, it's the way the world goes.
And imagine those false chemicals coming through. My car's broken.
I know. That's like I said. I don't think I ever phoned him after that again. I just tried and figure it myself. You don't get yelled at by Simon. Now,
No.
The company that you guys do, are you guys offering solutions for guys that's trying to get online?
Yeah, so I think in basic, what we do is we build e-commerce solutions. We partners with HubSpot. With Shopify.
Yeah.
We build on any platform, but we partners with Shopify. So we'll build a shop. We manage everything that goes around the growth. So driving traffic, converting, and then we've also got other HubSpot partners as well, which is software that automates virtually everything. So it drives your traffic, personalize it. So if you come onto somebody's shop, when you go back on, it says, "Well, welcome back, Joe." You know, creating that whole sort of personal experience, as well as automating it for the team behind the shop. So understanding, you know, when somebody goes through a shop, selects 2 items, go to the cart, and then closes because somebody calls them or they got a phone call and they don't come back to purchasing that item. You know, it automates messages. You know, you've abandoned your cart. Is there something we can help you with? Well, the multiple levels of catchment. Yeah. So basically, what we'll do is we help manage, and we help grow e-commerce companies. That's it, and it's all around different elements.
Yeah, because the amount of time you've spoken to a company, I mean, I like these type of solutions. The amount of times you speak to a company and they're like, "Oh, we're busy with e-commerce. Yeah, we're gonna do an online store. We're gonna do an online store," and that never materializes. I think a lot of guys they don't understand what gets involved with actually selling online. They think it's WordPress. We'll just download a store and we'll start populating, and that's normally where it comes to a big problem. Stock items, getting on, coding, blah blah blah, then distribution. I mean, it's a massive story to actually get your product online. I know I did it and then I stopped it because it was just if you don't have a proper management in place to manage that thing, if you're trying to do that over and above everything else that you're doing as an individual, you're going to run into cuck. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of maintenance in it. But the flip side of it is your growth. You know, I always use the age-old sort of statement of if I decided I was going to sell pens now, and I opened a store in the middle of Karoo, which was on the side of one of the little roads there, and I just sat there and I waited. And if by chance somebody drove past because they'd taken a wrong turn and they bought a pen, and you're like, we're growing, we're getting there. Yeah. It's the same thing in the digital space. If you're not marketing your store, if you're not, you know, we talk about inbound marketing. Inbound marketing is the reverse of how people used to market with a microphone. This is more like a magnet. So we talk to you about things that may interest you, and it'll bring you to the website for us to give you more information to eventually sort of make a purchase on the product that you were asking about in the beginning. And that's how people find you. Yeah.
Just so people know, doing one Facebook post every 3 months is not marketing. Okay. That's yeah. And even if where there's become a lot of misconceptions. Look, I mean, obviously I deal with TV and I deal with print and that type of stuff. And print has taken a knock. But I've seen that there has been a bit of a change again because, man, have you watched it? There's that new series on Netflix about, they explain e-commerce. Oh, not e-commerce, social media. It's the guys who work for...
Dilemma.
Yeah. That shit is scary, dude.
It is scary. Yeah.
But the thought process behind it, or the thing I carry behind it is, you're looking at Facebook and this type of stuff from a marketing perspective, but you compete against so much info.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's the big part that guys, and this is why I make the joke with just doing a Facebook post these days and boosting it a little bit is not going to give you that massive sales result that you think you are. You're not reaching actually that many people. That interaction's not there because you're fighting against everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a multi-pronged approach, I think.
Yeah.
You know, social media advertising is a big one because there's a lot of bang for buck. So your guys opening shops do it and it works if you do it properly and consistently.
Yes.
And you promoting the right post that people that you aim to send it to, for them it's relevant. These are all the things that happen. There's multiple ways that you can do this. So I think people look at one and say, well, my Facebook is, you know, I'm boosting it and then I'm doing this, but was your post correct? You know, I think if you go back in the day, remember when you bought a car in the 60s, you go to the salesman and you ask him about that car.
Yeah.
You never knew what the price was because you can't find out anywhere else. There's no internet. You didn't know anything about the car. So the salesman had the power over this negotiation and this deal. These days, you can find out whatever information you want anywhere. So that's shifted the power from the salesperson to the buyer now. So when somebody comes to you to buy something, they know way more than everyone thinks they know.
Yeah.
So what you've got to do is make sure you're giving them the information so that when they decide to buy, they come to you. That's where the relationship goes. And it's, if you come across as unauthentic or absolutely blatantly marketing to them, the youth of today they just you know, swipe on. It's like like a with that, yeah.
Exactly. But I mean, it does put a lot of pressure on companies these days because you know, I was talking to the guys from Khan in the States, and it's not like in the old days where they were saying about the Hot Rod magazine, and not mine, like the big one back in the days.
Yeah.
That was it, dude. You place an ad in Hot Rod and that's business. Yeah. Ads done. Cool. Okay. We know for the next 6 months, business is going to do great because so many million people are going to see it. Where these days, like I said, you got to wear so many hats. It's not even funny, you know?
Which is where agencies come into play because it is a big job to do.
Exactly. I mean, look, I'm sitting at the moment in the same position where I'm looking towards agencies and these guys and stuff because it's just your plate's too full. If you wanted to sit and promote your product the way you want to, and you think that you're going to do it as a MD, you just don't have time. You're going to be spending so much. And I even saw that during lockdown. Lockdown, you had the time because you had fuck all else to do. You know, but now you're trying to keep that. Yeah, well, you want to try and keep that pace, but now everything else is back, and then you're going, oh, wait a minute. Okay, this is not there's a reason someone gets paid to do this as a job because it is a full-time job. Just trying to keep up social media and keep the marketing and keep that engine running, because I mean, you know, your graphs become like addictive everywhere. You see that dip happening like from day 2 to 3 and you down, and they Google analysts and stuff, it's like you are 23.774% down and you're like, fuck.
Okay. Get another post up.
Exactly. I need to do something. And it becomes, like I said, it becomes obsessive more than anything else. And I can understand how because I was losing my mind at one stage, going, oh, fuck, you know, you're just trying to do that so you can grow and grow and grow. And then you need to sit back and go, okay, wait, actually, how can I put it? It's like sport. You have these great days and you have these bad days. And it just makes sense to get someone in, you know, and go,
I
okay.
think also it is a complicated world out there. However, it's you know, it's not that complicated. The one great thing about it at the moment is, you know, back in the day, if you put a signboard up on the side of the highway marketing your product, you as a brand will have a look at your sales and you go, you know, there was a spike. But you didn't know that spike was because somebody just had a big purchase in your brand or multiple people. Whatever. You don't know if there was no way to work out whether that board was working. Yes. Nowadays, every single thing you do in the digital world creates data. So you can know exactly if this piece of content was put out, did that lead to a sale? How many of those things led to a sale? How many people looked at it and didn't make a purchase? So all of that information is at your fingertips. The daunting thing is how to make that work for you.
Yes.
And there's so many companies we chat to who access data, but they're not using it. So when they do a post and they boost it, they don't really know whether it's turned anything into sales. All you know is how have you engaged on Facebook, which is one of the steps, not your end game. You want to make a sale. So people don't look at that data, and I think that's where it comes into play. Is it takes time to analyze that data, but every cent you spend as a brand, you've got some kind of idea of whether it's worked or not. So I think it's all a trial and error thing for anybody. Really.
It is. And also there's a big difference between, we did this, it grew our base, but did it make you any money? Nothing. It's a big step, that gap between getting someone to engage. There we go. That engagement. Yeah. There's a difference between, dude, I ran this thing and I had 40,000 people look at it. How many guys bought? Well, 2. Okay. That's the other step. And that's where companies like you make more sense to me, because you guys understand how to bridge that gap more. Yeah. Because you can seriously go throw stupid amount of money into social media and into marketing any kind of company, brand, or anything, and get absolutely almost zero result back if you're not doing right. That is the scary part of social media as well as the good part. You almost getting to a point where, like I said, guys need to. Oh, fuck! I completely lost my train of thought now. But
checking with the post working or not.
Yeah, you can really get to a point where it screws you royally, because you keep fighting, you keep pushing to going numbers. So that's the thing. You see these guys and they're sitting and they're like, we've got 50,000 followers, but that doesn't mean anything. It's great. Yeah, but that's the other thing. It's like, I've got 15,000 posts. Okay, cool. But they're all from Venezuela. And you're like, okay, but that helps you focal in South Africa, bro. Okay. Exactly. And that's the problem you have with some of these boosting apps and this type of stuff. Because if you're not boosting or if you're not doing it right, you're pushing your product and you're getting viewership all over the world, but it doesn't help you. Exactly. You want to get it down to a fine art of going, well, I need to boost sales in the East Rand.
Yeah.
And we want to target women between the ages of 30 and 40 in that area, and see that way you can gauge in an area if your product's working. Yeah.
But that's what I mentioned earlier, is the thing. So somebody who I said, what have you been doing on the marketing side for your sites? And they said, we've just done a campaign. We did it. We boosted one of the posts 10 grand. I was like, I beg your pardon?
Yeah.
What? So because we all know social advertising is fairly well priced. So what you do is you test it. You put 50 rand here and you put 50 rand there, and you work out what starts working for the people that are following you and for your brand. And is it turning to sales? If you're going to throw a large amount of money at something you have no clue, then you're going to just be dead in the water to start.
Exactly.
So it's a lot of trial and error, I think. Even in even in the digital field where you understand how it works, you've got to work out what's working for the people that are following, as well as your brand that you managing. So it's an interesting world out there.
It is. Dude, so if guys want to get hold of you, if they're looking from an e-commerce space, or what do you guys solely focus? I mean, you guys are doing, are you looking at any companies? Are you focusing more on, is there a specific part of the market that you guys are focusing on?
We do focus on e-commerce, specifically any products within the e-commerce field. We do have clients outside of e-commerce as well. So, it's a very similar field. My speciality is e-commerce because of my history. However, we'll assess if there's a decent relationship from both sides. We can definitely work with other guys. You can probably just jump onto our website, which is www.wattworks, wattworks.uk.
I'll put some links in the comment stuff and everything below, so guys can link through to you. I need to run because I need to get my wife to the doctors quickly. But dude, thank you so much. I mean, yeah, like I said, that's why I said to you when we started the conversation, the cars are the points that put us together. It's the other information sitting in your head that we need to get to. Cars is a good
family guy with no cars at the moment.
Exactly. Dude, listen, thank you so much for your time.
Great chat. Awesome. Thanks, my bud.
Great way to get out to it. Okay, man. Thanks, eh?
Awesome. Okay.
Cheers. Bye.